Hello and welcome to the Football League podcast. My name is Jon Couch. I'm the executive editor of Green Maze Publishing, who produce a Football League paper, and I'm with these two esteemed gentlemen in the middle there, John Lyons, who's our Football League editor. Hello, John.
Hi, Johnny. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks, mate. Pretty good. And further to my right, our chief football writer, Chris Dunlavy. How you going, mate?
All well, mate. All well.
Good. Well, plenty to pile into. Been another busy week, and I look back to last week when the three of us got together, and we kind of had a little joke, didn't we, about Blackburn Rovers? Surely it can't happen again, can it? I mean, the whole pitch situation, and blow me down, it did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's well, as I said, we talked about last week, weren't we? It was bizarre, really, about how often, well, certainly how often I've been there, and I've seen the pitch in a terrible state, and obviously, yeah. Funnily enough, I've written about it for my column this week, and I was kind of going back over the years and seeing that, you know, regularly, really I hadn't quite realised until I started writing how often it sort of happened down the years at Blackburn, and yeah, I think, you know, it's a stinker for them, really. And I think I was reading somewhere, you know, all the infrastructure, the pitch and everything, it's kind of getting on. I think it's 30, 35, 36 years old now, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's probably, you know, it's past its best. They've long had an issue with sort of drainage. I think one of the problems is the pitch drains into the River Darwen. So, and funnily enough, I live in York, and we have similar problems here. So, our local park, the sort of pond there drains into the Ouse, and if the Ouse is full, it all just comes back up and fills the park.
Out.
Yeah, it oozes out quite. I think Blackburn have got a similar problem, really, in that they ends into the river, and if the river's up, there's water's got, you know, it's got nowhere to go. So I think that's part of it. But the last time it happened against Ipswich, the groundsman came out afterwards and said it wasn't actually that; it was just the water that did it. So it's, you know, I think ultimately that what's quite it's easy to say it's just the rain, but I think, you know, nobody else, you know, Accrington's 8 miles down the road and they didn't have.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, there is clearly something going on there with the infrastructure, with the drainage, with something that really, you know, that is a problem. It is a problem, and it could be a massive problem for them, because, you know, it's, you know, they were beating Ipswich 1-0 at the time that game was abandoned.
Yeah.
They were beating Sheff Wed 1-0. Who knows what will happen in that game? And, you know, in the position, let's not beat about the bush. Blackburn aren't a great team this season. The position they're in
could be important. You know,
those 2 points could be massive. So it is.
Sure. I mean, it's a problem. I know just down the road at Rochdale as well, and Rochdale obviously they've invested heavily on covers for their pitch at Scotland, and I think as we speak now, they're ripping the pitch up because they had another abandonment again on Saturday. John, it looks like Blackburn are going to have to do the same thing, according to the manager, Valerie Ismail. That's what's need doing for Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think there was obviously I think he's come out and said he'd probably rather they spent some money on the pitch over in January rather than potentially on players, because obviously that's causing them a big problem. Obviously that Ipswich game, they got up to about 80 minutes, didn't they? So, you know, so you add on that, it's nearly a whole game they played there. They've had to replay it. They were 1-0 up. Then they've obviously got that game played last week, conceded in injury time against Ipswich to sort of rub salt into their wounds. And then at the weekend, I think they got to it was around the hour mark, wasn't it? So
yeah,
that's another hour that the players have got under their belts, which has obviously been sort of in vain. So they've obviously got to rearrange that game now as well. So, you know, these extra games they probably don't really want at this time of the season as well. It's not helping them at all. And yeah, as you say, we're only in sort of start of December now. There's nothing to say that this might not happen again in the coming weeks, and you know, we could be in for the same outcome. So it's difficult to see what they can really do in the short term if they do get these deluges of rain on Saturday afternoons.
Yeah, the problem they've got as well is, isn't it? I mean, we all know the owners there. They're not that keen in investing on anything.
No.
So, how high will a new priorities really? I'm not. He said he would rather have a pitch than players. Will he get either? That's the problem.
Yeah, it's bad times out there. Obviously, plenty more discussions to be had on that front. Interesting day, chaps, at the top of the championship on Saturday. Obviously, we've got another big midweek calendar ahead. This has obviously been filmed before those games, and let's look at Millwall, because they've kind of gone under the radar a lot this year. They're up in the third, and what a season they're having.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I think they've been the nearly men so often, haven't they, Millwall? They've been 7th and 8th, and they've nearly got there, and then they've had other seasons where they've nearly been relegated. But they do just look they do look a better side this year. I think under Gary Rowett they were always kind of there or thereabouts, but they probably lacked something at the top end of the pitch. They always had a kind of, they always had big man and maybe someone to play off him, but they didn't really have that genuine championship quality up there. And this year they've got Femi Aziz, they've got Ivanovic, they've got Josh Coburn when he's fit again. They've got proper ammunition at the top pitch, so they can sort of trouble teams that way. And they just look a good side. And I've said I'm a big admirer of Alex Neil. I think he's a great manager at this level. I remember speaking to him last year when he was just before he took the Millwall job at work, and talking to him about his ideas on the game and that sort of thing. And he was very against sort of the idea of philosophy managers. I remember him telling us a story about when he went in at Sunderland, and he said he'd spent all his time previously at not little clubs, but clubs that were underfunded for the divisions they were in, and having to sort of punch above his weight. And he said he'd always gone in and he thought, right, get the defensive structure right, and build from there, and make us hard to beat and all that stuff. And he said he went in and got the Sunderland job, and he started out with the same mindset. They were in League One at the time, and then he said his first couple of games nobody attacked them. There was Sunderland in League One. He said they all just sat back, and he said from that day on he just abandoned sort of defensive work and just said, well, what's the point? And just focused all his sort of energy on making them more dangerous going forward, because that's where they spent all their time. And I just thought it was quite a sort of revealing insight into, how he is very adaptable, and he does play the players he's got. He does play the team he's facing. And I think at a club like Millwall, it's perfect. It's such a perfect fit. And it's difficult. I think though, they are Millwall at the end of the used to key players. If the other teams who've been underperforming pick up, it is going to be tough for them. But they are where they are on merit, and the division's been so inconsistent that who's to say that they have been very consistent out of most people. So
yeah, I mean, as you say, they're there on merit. They've stood the course of time so far. I mean, John, are they realistic title promotion contenders here?
Well, I think if you probably ask sort of Millwall fans, they'd probably say if they could get in the playoffs, that would be a great achievement. So I think taking into account the fact they lost Japhet Tanganga to Sheffield United as well, didn't they? So I think people thought that was going to be a bit of a blow to their defence. But they've done really well. I mean, Alex Neil, Millwall aren't the team that concede many goals. So if they can get those sort of attacking players, performing, they've always got a chance of sort of grinding out some wins and sort of keeping it sort of fairly tight and getting that consistency. So I think, someone like Femi Aziz, he's looked one of their real sort of match winners so far this season. So, I mean, I think he's going to be one of their key men, just give them that little bit of spark and, extra creativity to help sort of keep them up there.
Yeah, sure. And another big result and a big game of the weekend. Coventry City, rare defeat for them at Ipswich. It was a quite an intriguing encounter. I was listening to it throughout the afternoon while I was chained to the office. But intriguing stuff, and a good result for Ipswich there, Chris.
Yeah, I was wondering why you were here, Couchy.
Yeah. My day in the chair today, Matt, the Sheffield Wednesday fan. He's obviously he's got bigger fish to fry at Blackburn, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was a good game on it, and I think it was funny enough. I will talk about it. It is interesting that I think you've seen maybe in the last few weeks that as good as Coventry are, and they can outscore anybody, I think you've started to see teams realise that you can get at them, especially sort of in those wide areas. A lot of teams are targeting the sort of spaces. You've seen Borough scored 2 against them. Obviously, Ipswich have West Brom scored 2 against them. Now Ipswich have scored 3 against them. And I think you suddenly, and if you look back, they've only kept 1 clean sheet in about 10 games. And I think in the second half of the season, they maybe are going to have to sort of have a little tweak of the way they play, unless they're confident they really can just keep beating teams 4-3 and 4-2.
Yeah.
Because I think just the last few weeks, and I think Ipswich did it really wide areas, and you saw how many times when Coventry were playing a high line, Ipswich hit them, got in behind. And I think it is something Frank's probably going to have to just have a little, I'm not saying they're being found out that they're too good for that, but he probably will just have to adjust it.
Yeah, that's some key injuries as well, haven't they? Haji Wright obviously come back on Saturday, but Thomas Asante out as well at the moment. They're going to need to get those key players back, aren't they?
Yeah, they missed Victor Torp as well, didn't they, at the weekend? So they're just perhaps the squad's just getting slightly more stretched now. So that might be a little bit of a concern, which obviously in some ways the fact that January's not too far around the corner, they might need to just go out and strengthen a little bit there. I mean, so far they've been quite lucky. It seems to be when one player is out, someone else will come back and sort of slot back in. But 1 or 2 more, and they might be a little bit more sort of stretched. So it might be ideal timing for them to sort of get out in the market, especially with the in the position that they're in. As we're sort of saying there, really they have got a lot of different goal threats. But you don't want to be leaking too many goals and sort of putting too much sort of pressure on yourself to go and score maybe 3 or 4 goals a game to win them.
Yeah, sure.
Is it a corner turn, Couchy? Corner turn for Ipswich? Are they finally on their way?
I don't know. I think they need to find a lot more consistency. I don't think it's any coincidence that the teams we played against, played best against, especially at home, are the teams that have come out and played. And that's Sheffield United, Norwich, and Coventry. All 3 of them come out and try to play football. And there's a few other teams that implement that low block, and we struggle to break that down. And that's been the story of our season so far. It's been frustrating for the fans. We got Stoke on Wednesday night, which will be interesting to see how they come and play, because if they come with that low block, then there's every chance they could get something out of the game. But I think as far as Ipswich is concerned, they need to find some consistency, and that consistency, I'm sorry, Kieran McKenna, has got to come with a consistent lineup. And at the moment, he does seem very happy on 5 or 6 changes every game, and I don't think it's doing us any good. But that's just from a fan's point of view. But I think in general, I think with the quality we've got, we're likely to be up there. It's just it's a key month for us. We got Coventry again later this month. Obviously Stoke on Wednesday. We got Leicester to play. We got Millwall to play, all before the end of December. So I think it'd be interesting to see sort of how we get on with those games, and then come to term of the year, if we're there or thereabouts, then I think we'll see whether we've given ourselves a decent chance. Another team who's given themselves a decent chance.
Hang on, Couch. We can't let it go. George Hurst, I'm afraid. Should he have been sent off for a second yellow card?
Yeah, Yeah, I think he's a very lucky boy. Especially as the commentary lad Eccles got booked just a few minutes before for doing exactly the same thing. I think he was very silly doing what he did, and he even given the referee a decision to make. He was lucky, and it was a crucial time of the game. And I think we got away with one there. And I think Frank would be quite rightly a bit frustrated. And it proved to be sort of a bit of a turning point, didn't it? But yeah, we certainly got away with it. What was your view on that?
I thought Lampard was spot on, though. Really, sort of said he didn't want any, like, you don't want to see anybody sent off for that. But
the fact that Eccles got booked.
The rules, yeah, exactly. It's haven't booked Eccles. You've kind of got it at that point, haven't you? You either book none or both. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think there won't be many Ipswich fans that disagree with that. I don't think. Let's move on then to Watford, another team on the up. You're going to tell me about your player profile this week, whose name I cannot pronounce, I'm afraid. But Chris, tell me about it. I mean, couple of goals against Norwich on Saturday. Watford. I tell you what, I watched Watford. Ipswich. They're a good side. They are a very good side, and underrated a little bit. But they seem to be on the up as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people expected them, me included, but I think maybe when you look a little bit deeper into the squad and the team and the players they've signed, often because they get players from Udinese, from the ownership group and stuff like that, they generally have got good quality in the team, and it's a matter of it clicking. If it get a manager where it all works, then they'll be a good team. But there's often too much upheaval. But yeah, so obviously it was Luka Kieramgard, as how I'm going to say it. And I might try not to say it again, but the twice on Saturday against Norwich, and he's an interesting player. I've looked at him this week. They signed him from Odense, or OB as they're also called in Denmark, and he's a funny player because he's 6'4", sort of built like an outhouse. But he's not really a target man. Like he sort of looks like one, but if you actually look at him and what he does and how he plays, really a kind of old school sniffer. He's a fox in the box, and number 9. He scores goals. Really, that's his like his stats. You look at his stats, and he does nothing else. So he does, his all his passing stats, all his sort of creativity, practically zero. Like he doesn't win many duels. All that stuff is just non-existent. And but basically what he will do, he just hits the target. He takes shots when he doesn't have many touches in the box than any other Championship striker per 90 minutes this season. Wow. But he scored 7 times. So he basically, if he gets a connection, he gets into the box. He's just very, very accurate, very, very efficient. Or his heading, for that matter, which he scored 2 headed goals at the weekend. And I think he's got the look of a player who basically, I think if when you watch him play, I think it probably because of the league he's in, probably because of the size he is, you see involved in tussles, and he's trying to hold up the ball. And I think you could probably do with someone saying to him, look, just get in the box, and telling people the ball's in there. And that's, if you do that, you're probably looking at a 15-20 goal a season striker there.
Yeah, that's a good good asset to have in the Championship, isn't it? I mean, especially you got that pacey Watford midfield just behind. Could that prove a difference, John? Do you think?
Well, I think it's always if you've got a forward there who can sort of convert those chances, it will obviously stand you in good stead. And I think, as Chris was saying, and I've obviously had a look at. I've had a look at the piece that Chris has done on him as well, and some of those stats were, quite remarkable in terms of his goals per shots and goals per minutes and what have you as well. So, I think the key thing is can they get him some quality service, because the signs are that if they can get him the service, he will score the goals. So obviously Imran Loser's been brilliant for them this season, hasn't he? At Watford. and he's got a creative spark. They've got Kayembe as well, so they have got players there that with quality, and obviously they should be looking to in the right areas for Kerengard to stick those chances away.
Brilliant. Let's move into League One, and top of the tree there, Cardiff City. Obviously, not used to seeing them in a League One table. They seem to be in the Championship and even the top flight for as long as I can remember. But they're certainly stating a case for an immediate return, aren't they, Chris?
Yeah, well, I think they benefited, didn't they? Because a lot of teams were playing in the FA Cup this weekend, so they got to play. Them and Bradford got to play, and they both won. So that League One table that had been looking really tight, they've suddenly just managed to, other teams have got games in hand, but they've suddenly managed to just put a little bit of daylight there as well, which I think psychologically helps. But I'm sure if you'd asked anybody at the start of the season who you think will be a contender for automatic promotion, everybody would have said Cardiff because of coming down the money and things. I think that they probably are where you would expect them to be. They've not really they were never going to do a Birmingham and run away with it, but
yeah,
I think they are. If anybody in that division is capable of putting a run together, then it is them. This Christmas period, because they've got the squad, they've got the depth that other teams in that division probably don't have. And I think if you look at it, they probably are the team who are, if anyone's going to do it, they're the ones who are capable of putting five together and going away from everybody else. So we'll see if this is the start of it.
Yeah, so important in that division, isn't it, John? It's a tough league to get out. You've just got to keep grafting, and every win counts. And as I say, if you can just go on a run, then it can make all the difference, can't it?
Yeah, because it's been quite a funny division recently, because over the last sort of couple of months there's been a stack of teams there, all sort of fairly sort of close together, and we've had teams out of form who haven't been able to get results, staying up there as well. So it's been quite a funny sort of division and quite a funny sort of setup there. But I think it's pretty fair to say Cardiff are probably one of the few teams there that you would feel as though that they could maybe sort of string a run of results together and pull away. Barry Murphy's doing a really good job there, and they do seem to have a nice balance. They've got a lot of young lads who are sort of making their way, really sort of some promising players there, but then they've got a few older heads as well, to balance it out. And obviously they've got a finisher there in Youssef Salek as well, and he got a couple of goals at the weekend. I think it was 2 headers, if I remember rightly. So again, he's one of those players, a bit like Kerengard. If you can get him the service and feed him the opportunities, then he's probably going to end up with a hatful of goals as well. So they look in pretty good nick at the moment. Yeah.
Let's talk about another couple of League One sides, and in the FA Cup draw, obviously was last night. Some fascinating ties, and a team we were talking about last week, Chris, Exeter City. Obviously, got a few financial issues down there. They've been sort of a bit down in their luck a little bit this season, but they lucked out a little bit yesterday, didn't they?
Yeah, well, the sort of football gods have sort of smiled on them a little bit, haven't they? After happened, it's just that was such a difficult season, and all the publicised financial problems and the fact that they might have to abandon the fan ownership and stuff. And you see it, don't you? These clubs, they get it only takes one draw like that, and that could provide the cash flow to see them through to the end of the season. Then you can have a look at the ownership model and all those sorts of things. But it's when you're struggling, when you are struggling literally week to week, sort of like they are, that one game like that with all the revenue it brings in, because obviously it's sort of 50-50 in the FA Cup, isn't it? The way you split the gate. So I'm sure if Man City sort of fans, if Man City sort of drop the prices a bit and fans hear about what's going on next year, I'm sure they'll come out as well and try and help them, because football is very sort of community minded like that. So if they can publicise it and get a full house, then it'd be brilliant. That happens, it'll be brilliant for them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a draw that I'm sure far more popular in the Exeter boardroom than with Gary Caldwell. He's got the small task of keeping Mrs. Haaland and Foden quiet, John. That's going to keep him busy for a while, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is a great tie to go up there and have that game, and obviously all the players be relish in that opportunity, and I mean it's a good opportunity for Gary Caldwell to go up against Guardiola as well and see how he gets on there. So yeah, obviously after that fire that they had recently, and I mean they had to call off one of their League One home games, didn't they? And I remember they were trying to get that game on against Wickham last weekend in the cup, and obviously they've gone out and beaten Wickham, who have been in very good form, and sort of beaten them convincingly 4-0. So that was a great result, obviously, to put themselves in the hat, and obviously then it is obviously clearly it is the luck of the draw, and they've got one of the plum ties there, so it's perfect timing for them to get that big windfall that they really need.
Yeah, it's a great FA Cup story, and another great story is the non-league story, and another one was ended last night. Brackley getting beaten 3-1 at home by Burton Albion, who could be onto sort of quite a unique feat, couldn't they, Chris?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Burton they've sort of beaten 3-0. Well, basically this will be their third non-league team in a round 4 by playing entirely non-league teams. So and it's an amazing thing, really. And for a club like Burton as well, you can't underestimate it. I mean, they if any club knows about the magic of the FA Cup, it's Burton, because back in 2006 when they drew, they were a non-league team then, and they drew Man United, and that basically they just built the stadium. It basically paid off the stadium and provided the foundation for their promotion to the Football League, where they've stayed ever since. So if you want an illustration of what the FA Cup can do, I mean, they are the ultimate example. Like, everything they have today really is, not just come from that, because Ben Robinson was a wonderful chairman who managed the club brilliantly, but a lot of what has happened at Burton today, and their rise to the Championship, can be literally traced back to that draw. So for them as well to get through to potentially to get through to round 4, I'm not underestimating Boreham Wood. To get through to round 4 would be a phenomenal achievement for them as well. And they could be, once you're at that stage, you're much closer to getting a brilliant draw, aren't you?
Yeah, certainly are. And John, really, any other cup draws that took your fancy?
Well, a couple of I was having a quick look here, but just a couple of sort of London derbies that look quite entertaining. Charlton, Chelsea, West Ham, QPR. They look like sort of pretty good ties. Steve Cottrell as well. I mean, Cheltenham against Leicester looks a good one. Steve's gone in there and he's done a fantastic job sort of to turn their sort of fortunes around. So that's a decent one for them. And then I think another team that will be sort of looking to cause a bit of an upset would be Shrewsbury. And Michael Appleton, I remember I was on one of their sort of press calls the other week, and they've had a bit of a they've had a tough start to the season, but they've just started to sort of gradually sort of turn things around and just move out of that bottom sort of 2 in League 2. So for them to get Wolves away, sort of Premier League team who are, I think they're still only on 2 points. They're still only on 2 points, aren't they? So, it's a great opportunity for them to go to a team completely out of form and have they've got nothing to lose. They're going to go and have a right go at it. And maybe one more I've just got on here down here: Wrexham Forest. Looks quite a tasty one as well. So
you just know that's going on the telly, don't you? That one.
Yeah, I think the last sort of few years, Wrexham have been in a few draws, but they haven't actually got the. I don't think have they played a Premier League team in recent years in the cup, or in either of the cups. They've played Championship teams, haven't they? But I'm not sure if they've played sort of a Premier League team. So that'll be a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, certainly will. I think that's it's guaranteed for the telly, that one. I think. Right, yeah. Thanks, chaps. think we'll wrap it up there. Any other business, really? Anything we can look forward to seeing in this week's Football League paper?
Well, we've got. I know Chris is speaking to Guy Branston for his sort of regular column, and we'll have our regular sort of obviously match coverage and what have you. And I think we've got a piece. We'll have a piece with one of the lads at Grimsby this week who plays for the Faroe Islands. So that's quite an interesting. It's an interesting tale. I think it's Geza Touri at Grimsby that Dave Flett's spoken to him, and a little bit of a claim to fame last month. He scored against Croatia in one of the World Cup qualifiers. So earlier in the season, he scored against Man United in that shootout for Grimsby as well. So he's having an interesting time with it.
Brilliant, fantastic. And Chris, where are you off to? You got any games in the diary?
Not at the moment, mate. I'm flat out pounding out the words. I'll have the profile from Brano's sending a column. I think he'll be talking about potential players who could move in January because with his agent's hat on, he does a bit of everything. Brano, he's been practically every job in the game at one time or another, but he does a lot of agency work now, and he'll be talking about potentially be of interest to Premier League clubs, various other clubs in the January window. So yeah, we'll look forward to that. Yeah,
top man. I remember him being a top defender in his day. Thanks, guys. We'll leave it there. Many thanks for all your time. Jon, Chris, many thanks. Please like and subscribe our channel. We'll try and keep you posted throughout Christmas. John's off on an excursion to the other side of the world, aren't you? Seeing family, so won't see Jon for a while, but we'll be filling in his absence. And I don't know if he wants to come on at any point, it'll be great. But it might be sort of 4 o'clock in the morning or something for him. But but many thanks for listening, and all the best. And if you don't see you before, have a lovely Christmas. All the very best.